maximum use. Corruption adversely affects each and every sector
any
of the
sort of
country.
ideology. This is a great location for Nepal to explore its potential.
Namaste. Welcome to Nepal's Top 7 Debaters 2014, produced by Leadership Academy. In today's episode, we are featuring the journey from competition to final round of the runner-up of Nepal's Top 7 Debaters 2014, Category 6, Bachelor's Level English Language, Mr. Raunab Singh Khatri from Kathmandu Model College.
Modern laws created by the state should give more advantage to women.
Think about this. A woman who is very weak in studies gets enrolled in an MBBS program through this reservation system and eventually went on to be the doctor. Now, the big question comes, will I rely on such doctors for my treatment? Will such doctors be able to treat the patients very effectively and efficiently? Don't you think that in such cases we need more expert professionals and very high intellects? Considering to the above cases, by giving more advantages to women, women will not be competitive in this modern current system. Yes, by giving this reservation, quotas and such facilities and privileges, women may get the desired opportunity they want, but these opportunities will be limited only to their reserved area. Otherwise, let's take a look. There are these reservation systems in the national security level, in armies, in police, or in the civil service sector for women. But how many of these women who have entered these organizations through such systems have really exceeded onto the top level position of the organization? Very few in number. So the women who join such organization through these reservation systems, through these quota systems, and through these advantages and getting privileges will not exceed much than the women who have entered such organization through this free competition and have succeeded freely. Let me give you a few examples. Did Pasang Ramu Sherpa really needed such advantage to climb Mount Everest? Didn't she face the same amount of struggle like Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary had to face? Did Aung San Suu Kyi also really required such privileges to be one of the great women leaders of today? Not only just great woman leader, she is a great leader all around the world of today, right now. Didn't she face the same amount of struggle or the similar struggle like Nelson Mandela did? So, I would like to say that, yes, if advantages have to be given, that it has to be given on the education and the training sector for women, so that they can learn, they can groom themselves, and then they can face competition with this modern world and can succeed much higher level. So, modern laws created by the state should not give more advantages to women. Thank you.
First of all, it's not an easy topic, and it's one topic that we can be debating over the next 50 years at least before we come to any conclusion. So, I would say good job on both sides. However, we're discussing the law here. We're not discussing the social issues, and we're not discussing whether there should be a competition between men and women. The topic clearly states that modern laws created by the state should give more advantage to women, and that I think we should stay focused about the topic. And most of you debated around the topic or give your personal opinions. So next time when you debate, stick to the topic, because it becomes very difficult to judge if you are giving your personal opinions in different directions. Second thing is, most of you have mugged up your debate. Right? Now, as a first debater, you could probably do that. It could be in your advantage. But if you're a second to last debater, you have to have counter argument. You have to be spontaneous, because when you have mugged up and when you forget, we saw a couple of debaters in a struggle. And that should never happen in the debate. Most of you asked questions. That's public speaking or speech. We're debating here, and you don't want us to answer your questions, right? We are here to judge. So, you have to answer your own questions.
I want to congratulate all of you first. It's always difficult to go and express a point of view strongly, fluently, and also supported by data, which I think all of you have attempted reasonably well. I think we are here to learn to debate as well as to debate. So I'm going to give you some feedback as to your strong points as you debated and areas where you could improve. I would expect the debaters to actually look deeply at the topic and see how you could argue it with your supporting data. So modern laws created by the state should give more advantage to women. Needed an examination of what is modern law with contextual reference to Nepal and international modern law, which many of you did and did well. However, I would also clarify that modern laws do have an impact on society and on women in particular and their relationship with men. So perhaps some explanation of the effect of modern law on society, social change and transformation of the status of women vis-à-vis men in different societies is also important to raise in the speech that you made. So some of you did that as well. One general feedback is that in a debate, there must be an attempt at rebuttal of the points of those who have gone ahead of you, which perhaps you needed to do. It did seem as though you had prepared a general speech rather than come forward to debate.
First of all, congratulations to all of you for taking this on. This is a tough subject. I get to deal with this, and there are lots of questions about this worldwide, and at the United Nations even. What is the right way to go? So it was a privilege to hear you and hear both sides of the argument, because it is exactly what's being stated out there. I mean, you've captured that as a group in the debating. I was thinking, of course, and perhaps it was my projection, that we'd be talking about the state laws in Nepal and what should be coming up, maybe in relationship to the coming constitution. What should be the next step? Not just reservations, but that's just my own projection. But the effect of laws is really important, and I think that several of you captured the impact of what's happened in the past and how that's changed things, but how things in some ways are still very difficult. And I thought on either side there were reasoning on either side of why you now be for or against in the future. So I'm glad I got to hear each of you.
I request our judge, Mr. Santosh Saha, to announce the results.
We'll have to let Grishma go today. And we all agreed that you're a good debater. It was just today's moment. And rest of you, congratulations. We will be seeing you in the next round. Thank you.
Poverty alleviation projects actually contribute to increase in poverty.
With more than rupees 15 billion invested by Poverty Alleviation Fund under the World Bank's assistance, all they could do is reduce the poverty up to 25.13%. I mean, seriously? To my opposition, let me tell you, the government has been saying that people with under $1 income per day are categorized as poor. Does only people with less than $1 income are categorized as poor? What about people with around $1.5 per day? What about people with $1.10 per day? Include all of this, and my friend, the poverty has not decreased to 25.13%. It is more than 25.13%, because the people who have been earning around to this less than $1 per day or a little above this $1 per day are still living in the same miserable condition. And the biggest organizations to blame are this Poverty Alleviation Fund. The Poverty Alleviation Fund and its associated projects like the United Nations, the Asian Development Bank, who have been working and who have been providing direct investment, are really becoming ineffective, especially in our country. What these projects do mostly is that they go into those sectors where most of the NGOs, INGOs, these international organizations have already been working for alleviation of poverty, and the result becomes so small. For example, just yesterday in this Kantipur newspaper, I heard an article about this Madesi Garib, where they said that in Bajura, the poverty has increased by 16% to 64.13%. That's nearly 80,000 of the people are poor currently in Bajura district. And these poverty alleviation projects, this Asian Development Bank, all have been working actively in this area of Tarai region. So why is the poverty still increasing rather than decreasing? They can't even maintain at the sustained level. So my advice to the government or to the organizations is to try to work towards eradication of poverty rather than introducing new poverty alleviation programs and new poverty alleviation programs that is just becoming more and more ineffective. Thank you. My opposition just talked about raising standard of living by poverty alleviation projects. But in reality, what I tell you, these poverty alleviation projects have been raising the standard of living, but not of the poor people mostly, but of the big leaders that we call them. Let me give you my opinion. What the problem is that these projects, they are going, into the villages, they are going into these far rural districts, and they are providing aid in terms of food, in terms of clothes, in terms of these other food materials and all. They have been providing this assistance in the name of poverty alleviation, but for how long will that last? My question is, how long will it last? When this assistance will be stopped, don't you think that they will come back to their poverty level again? Because until and unless they are provided with this assistance, then till that time the poverty is getting reduced. But when the assistance will be stopped, they are not getting that facilities again, and then they will again come back to their poverty line level. So my opposition's argument that poverty alleviation projects have been really helping to raise the standard of people is completely baseless. Thank you.
We were supposed to have 6 debaters today, eliminate 2 and let 4 of you go to the next round. But because 2 of them have already withdrawn, all 4 of you will be going to the semi-final round. However, we decided to give you rank so that it helps you understand where you are for the next competition. We have ranked Raunab Singh Khatri as 4th. So Raunab, you'll really have to work hard, in the next round to get into the finals. We have ranked Kripendra to be 3rd, and Mandira to be 2nd, and Avilasa to be 1st. Now, that's saying all the previous comments still are valid. This is just the ranking, right? You still have to work very hard and stick to the topic and do a lot of research. So all the best for the next round.
Federalism is not the current need of Nepal.
Federalism is the current need of Nepal. Because it's very simple. The people, the supreme power of the state themselves have made a choice to accept this system. Why? Because the people realized that there is needed equal development and there is needed to promote national integration in each and every area of the country, and this is possible through federalism. Previously, the previous system of government, there was no any equal development in any area of the country because the central government was too much concentrating only on the capital city only. For example, in Kathmandu, if you get contracted with the diseases, then you can find hospitals, health posts, clinic, and in every area of Kathmandu. But if you go to the people of Karnali region, where for years, for decades, they have been contracted with this jaundice, this diarrhea. Why isn't the government so much concentrating? It's because the central government hasn't given impasses. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that if there was federalism, and if there is federalism, then the local government of that area will have to provide such facilities, and not only in just health sector, in education, in transportation, in establishing university, in communication, in every sector. So that's why federalism is the best model of Nepal. And another thing, the Constitution of Nepal 2047 has stated that Nepal is a multilingual and multi-ethnic country. But it is just like what government of Nepal do, only write in the paper and don't act at all. Constitution of Nepal 2047 have failed to protect, to identify, or to explore the identity of the people, the ethnicity of the people, because of which the people from all the ethnic groups, they have started to raise their voices, and with the political parties, they involved in a movement. What I would like to say here is that it was not only just overthrowing of monarchy, it was also the people, for all the ethnic groups, to have their voices raised. So that's why federalism is the best model in the country, because it helps people from all ethnic groups to give their own distinct identity. And what my fellow opponent just said recently was that she said that there is Australia, Germany, United States and all, but she doesn't realize that there is 10 times much smaller in area and in population than Nepal. That is federal state of Micronesia. And it has a GDP of nearly $25,000 per year. So why is it working in federal state of Micronesia and why not in Nepal? With this, I would like to say that federalism is indeed the current need of Nepal, and it is the best system for governance. Thank you.
First, I want to say it was a really interesting topic, and you all were great, I think. I gave you all great marks on confidence, presentation. It was clear. You were able to build great arguments. With all that, I have a few remarks. The first one is that the topic is federalism is not the current need of Nepal. What I understand from that is it good for Nepal right now? Or maybe it was good for Nepal 20 years ago, or will be good for Nepal in 10 years from now? And I think all of you kind of missed it. Maybe not all, but most of you did. And second is when you are giving a comparative argument, you are comparing Nepal to a different place, you should also explain why does it make sense to do the comparative. Does it make sense to compare Nepal to the USA or to Germany? I'm not so sure. So some of you did explain why are you comparing it to Micronesia, for example, but not all of you. So these are the two things I will try to emphasize next time.
Everyone demonstrated extremely well debating skills. About Abhilasha, what I liked about her was the way she was so confident in delivering what she said. Her eye contact and the modulation of her voice. I think that these are the skills that a good debater should have. The points that she compared between the world and how federalism was, I mean, she was speaking for federalism is not the current need of Nepal. I think the way she compared it was tremendously, I think, brilliant for me. I think a little bit of pauses could have been removed, but I think overall, I think she was brilliant. About Raunab, what I liked about him was, I think when he spoke, I think more than his words, I think his body movement was really, really powerful when he expressed his views. It was as if he believed in that, and I could feel that. Again, the way you were you were comparing the issues of Nepal and with the world was, I think, very impressive. I think a little nervousness did tamper your thoughts, because I mean, at that stage when I was looking at you, your nervousness, it made me feel that does he really believe in what he's saying? So I think if that had been removed, I think it would be brilliant. But again, it was a well done thing. For Mandira, I think, I mean, personally, I'm speechless, because I think it was amazing, the points that you kept, and not just the points, but the points combined with your body language, with your gestures, with your postures, with your eye contact, with the voice that you spoke, with the belief. I felt personally that you believed what you were saying. And I think that is the skill of a good debater, that when you actually believe in what you're saying, that's when we will believe what you are saying. So I personally really liked it, and I would like to applaud you really in this topic. About Kripendra, again, I think he was a bit serious, and of course it's a very serious topic, federalism, the requirement of federalism. But I think, again, he was very brilliant in what I especially liked about his debate was how he ventured in Nepal's context, how federalism, and yes, he was the one who actually, he was the one who actually did understand the topic and did realize that federalism is not, he was against it, is the current need of Nepal. He was the one who was actually speaking about the current need of Nepal, giving the examples of Nepal, which I thought was powerful. I think all of you were brilliant. Thank you.
What my opponent just said was that ethnicity-based federalism really divides the nation. I mean, is the ethnicity-based, okay, if ethnicity-based federalism really divides the nation, then is it the only option that we have? Can't we have federalism based on other criteria as well? For example, if I divide Nepal into 5 states based on this development region, like Eastern state, Central state, Western state, Far Western state, Mid-Western state and all, then all the states will have access to India and China, which means all the states can frame their policies based on their import and export and their local resources that they have. This will really ensure the development in each and every state of the country. Isn't this possible? And also, looking at what my opponent said, I think she was trying to say that this, by decentralizing the authority from the central government to local government, it will result in tier of the nation, which means the nation will get divided politically. and geographically as well. But what I would like to remind to my opponent is that decentralized government doesn't mean separatism. In a way, it is a way of ensuring full democracy. And when there is full democracy, my friends, then only there is development. So with this, and that is what we need, development. So with this, federalism is really the need of Nepal. Thank you.
From both of our sides, I mean, we would like to congratulate you because you all were excellent and it was really, really difficult for us to choose the best. The first participant that has managed to go to the final round is Mandira Tripathi. And the second participant who is going to the next round is Raunab Singh Khatri. Abhilasha and Kripendra, you were extremely good, but this is competition. Someone loses, someone wins. I would like to wish you a good career ahead, as good as the Nepal's best debaters. And congratulations to the winners.
Import of food should be banned in Nepal.
Nepal importing food from other countries is like saying Nepal imports water from other countries because we have shortage of water. A very ironical, a very satirical, and a very painful situation for our country. And especially for that country who has a very high cultivation power and who has enough fertile land, enough to fulfill the calorie of each and every 3 crore people in this country. And still we are relying on import from other countries. Yes, we have food insecurity. That is the bitter truth. But this is the import of goods, import of food materials isn't the solution to the problem. Let me give you one example. 1 year before, fiscal year 2013, GDP of Nepal fell by 3.6% because of the 11% decrease in production of paddy. When finding out the reasons weren't because we had lack of fertile land. That's why we had to stop production of paddy. The reason wasn't because we had this natural calamities and all that swept away all this paddy production. The biggest reason was that the farmers couldn't get the prices they want. As a result, the paddy production from India, they were cheaper, and then they had to sustained in the market, and the consumers started taking those products. Now, my opponent might argue that if the Indian prices are cheaper, then why not encourage them instead of our own paddy production? Let me remind you again, because in spite of that, our GDP still fell by 3.6%. 3.6% is not a joke, where the GDP of a country is in billions and billions of dollars. Even 1% count for so much loss. The another reason, in 2067 and in 2066 and in 67, agriculture imports, food imports were only 13.7 billion rupees. 1 year after, agriculture imports skyrocketed to 54.7 billion rupees. And most of these goods were those imports where Nepal has tremendous potential to produce their own goods and instead sell to the market. We were once the net exporter of goods, but now we are the importer. Therefore, what I would like to suggest is that when a machine has a technical problem, then that machine has to be repaired, that machine has to be maintained, and it has to be reused again. Our problem is on self-production. We have to produce our own goods, not import another machines again, because if we import that, the cost will be high. Therefore, we have to repair it, we have to maintain it, and we have to sustain ourselves. Therefore, import of food should be banned in Nepal. Thank you. Perhaps the biggest threat that globalization ever provides to a special developing nation like ours, an underdeveloped nation like ours, as we have all read in textbooks, is the threat to sovereignty, the threat to domestic production, and the threat to domestic industries. When agriculture country like ours, most of the people engage themselves in agriculture, and it is the major occupation of majority of people who have to sustain themselves through cultivation of food. When we can't sustain ourselves and start importing these food materials from other countries, then what will be the impact of these majority people who spend their entire life in food production? Do you have the answer to this, my dear opponent? Thank you.
Well, Raunab, the performance has been very impressive so far, and I really like the body language and the content is very good as well. So it looks you are well prepared. I also like the fact that you have the conviction, so just keep it up. The only suggestion I've got for you is I think you will need to watch out with some of the words, the way you pronounce them. The other is you identified the problem, but maybe it might be a good idea to suggest some solutions as well.
Raunab, you were excellent, but I would say there is still a room for you to improve. While speaking on motion, there you have several issues that you can raise, but given the time limit that you have to restrict within the time and try to get the more important issue within that time. Otherwise, you can talk for a minute, for hours in this topic anyway. But you have to be sure that you bring in the important ones within that time, and that can support you in your improving your argument. While saying that we would like to ban the import of foods into our territory, you should be also able to give the alternatives. How do you support your people here? How do you support the agriculture? Revolutionize the agriculture, support the industry, and frame the new policies to support our farmers, our farming strategies, agriculture strategies, kind of stuff. Those are the areas you would probably like to come up. I'd like to suggest you to bring in these points in your next round of debate.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to both of you. Came out very loud and clear. It was very fun listening to you. There are a few points I would like to point out to both of you together. That's, first of all, I really did not notice much of the points in either of your presentations. There were not much concrete points within it. Very few points, and that was being more or less repeated. Now, regarding your presentation, I would like to say, first to Raunab, when you have very solid points to put forward, your body was really threatening, kind of, you're pointing fingers. So when you have very solid points, you really don't have to project very aggressive action. That needs to be reduced, which was there. I saw it in your presentation. So if you could somehow subside that, it would have come out much more and in a better way. And regarding whenever you have points, try to put in some pitch or volume in certain areas. It was coming at, it was loud and clear, but the volume was at the same pace. You need to go up and down to prove your point so that the audience can be captured more. Now regarding Mandira, yes, you're very loud, your pitch was very clear, very obvious. But again, as I said, the points that were coming were not really segregated. The differences could not be really observed all that much, But in overall, what I liked about you, you've done some research, you're relating some to facts and figures, some of the dharas and updharas you were quoting from the legal books, which was good. Those are good points. In general, overall, it came out very clear, very nice. All the best.
My friend believes that importing food from other countries will help to reduce food deficit that is happening in most of the districts of Nepal. Let me tell you something. If you give man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach man how to catch a fish, you feed him for the entire lifetime. Yes, we can import goods, but for how long? As I've already told, we have more than 40 billion rupees of trade deficit from 067 to 068. Then, is it the solution? No. I believe that we have to train this youth in this food deficit area. Then we can sustain ourselves, and then we can produce foods for our living. And not only just for living, for export as well. Thank you. United States of America. There, out of the entire fertile land, only 0.15% of this entire fertile land is used for agriculture, and still United States of America is a net exporter of food. This statistics was shown by Wikipedia. And now talk about our country. Out of the entire land of our country, 29.7% of the land is cultivable for agriculture. And we have just hardly around 2 crore people. Why can't we sustain ourselves? And let me remind this to my opponent. When does a country really import something? When we have When we don't have sufficient area to produce, or we don't have sufficient technology to produce that goods, then we have to import those from the other countries. And with 29.7% can't we produce foods in our own country? Yes, I believe with the proper technology, if we have technology, if we have manpower, we need to bring people back, our Nepalese back from the Gulf countries. So many people, so many Nepalese have come back from the Gulf countries and they have started the agriculture here. If we can do that, then yes, definitely we can be exporter of foods again rather than being the importer of foods. Thank you.
Congratulations, Raunab and Mandira Tripathi. Your, in fact, rebuttal round, I found it very interesting. It was very focused and to the point. Congratulations and best of luck to both of you. Thank you.
Mandira and Raunab, both of you have done wonderfully well. I'm satisfied with the kind of presentation you have given. And you have all the potentials to be the greatest debaters of this nation or beyond the nation. And both have tried to prove the points that you've raised earlier during this rebuttal round. And both have tried to refute the points that the opponents has raised. You both have done well. Congratulations to you both.
Congratulations, both of you. I was really impressed with the way you presented in the rebuttal round, because you were given a very short time, and with the proverb or with the quotation, you were able to answer most of the questions. It was very short and sweet. I really like that one. And as Sir said, both of you have the potential to be great orators and make Nepal proud in the days to come. So I wish best of luck to both of you.
The winner is Mandira Tripathi. I'd like to congratulate her. And the runner-up obviously is Raunab Singh. Congratulations to you.
You can call us at 425-7250 for feedback or email us at leadershipacademyktm@gmail.com. Have a nice week. Namaste.